Hey, I'm Farron.
Hello, I'm Teresa.
Hi, I'm Emma.
I'm Olivia.
Okay, our theory is communication accommodation theory by Giles, which is the constant movement towards or away from others by changing your communicative behavior. So the main things are convergence and divergence.
And convergence deals with the strategy of adapting your communication behavior in such a way as to become more similar to another person.
Here are some examples.
So I'm from California and you're from
Oregon.
And when we moved here, we realized that we used convergence when we started saying y'all, like, immediately. Like, I went home from just line camp, so a week long I was here and everyone's like, you're saying y'all already. And it just was us doing it, and now I'm even wearing Texas things.
Yeah, and then, oh wait, are you done?
No, yeah.
And then my parents are from the South, and they have said y'all my whole life when we were in Oregon, but I never caught on to it because no one else around me was saying it, and I felt like that would make me just like stand out. But then since I've come to Texas, I've said y'all immediately because I think I'm trying to adapt to those around me.
Hello?
Hey.
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
So Olivia, can you tell us why that was an example of convergence?
Yes, so when I first came to the phone, I was talking normal because it's my normal voice. But when I noticed that Teresa was talking higher, I raised my voice to match hers. So that's convergence, because, yeah.
So the second part of the communication accommodations theory is divergence, and that's basically a communication strategy of accentuating the differences between you and another person. So Emma, tell us about your least favorite professor.
Okay, freshman year, I had this professor for English, and he told us that we couldn't eat in class or anything. Like, didn't want to disrespect the room, couldn't drink anything but water, all this stuff. And it was right before lunch, and every day we'd come in and he would be eating, which just totally really made me mad because he was only a couple years older than us. He was in grad school, and it just made us feel like we were on this totally different playing field, even though we weren't. So that's just an example of divergence because, like we said, divergence is kind of really like enunciating or really showing that difference between the two people, and that's what he did just to kind of show his power that he had over us.
Such a long day at school. Hey Grandma.
Hey, honey.
So tired.
Oh, you don't know nothing about tired. I used to walk 2 miles to school in the snow every day.
Okay. But like campus is so far.
Oh, hush it.
So that was an example of divergence because my grandma over here wouldn't like accommodate how I was feeling when I talked about how tired I was. She talked about how much more tired she was because she's like an older person. So that's an example of divergence where two people are missing each other. So
Here's some other ways that you can see divergence appear in conversations. One of them is self-handicapping, which for the elderly is they invoke age as a reason for not performing as well.
The divergence is maintenance, which involves persisting in your original communication style regardless of the communication behavior of the other. Here's an example.
Hey Tracy, wanna go get some pop?
Pop? Do you mean soda?
Example of divergence is over accommodation, which is when you use demeaning or patronizing talk or excessive concern to others. For example, like baby talk when you're talking to an older or an elderly person, or over enunciating every single word.
So these are all examples of convergence and divergence for communication accommodation theory. But one really important part about the whole theory in general is that whether someone is converging or diverging in a conversation really depends on the perception of the person they're communicating with, not necessarily the techniques they use. So sometimes people will be trying to converge and they end up diverging and things like that. So keep that in mind. Bye!
Bye!
We hope you learned. Yeah. Hey, I'm Farron.
Hi, I'm Teresa.
Hi, I'm Emma.
How do I?
Can you think? Yeah, that goes away.
Okay.